Welcome back, YouTube, and it's your friend Clownie, or Uncle Clownie, take your pick. Then he's bringing to you yet another one of his weirdo mods I make up. Well, this is actually something I came up with I thought was kind of cool. Quick story on everything, the story of Rage Quit. I'm pretty sure all of us have had the moment when they're tinkering with a Nerf weapon, and then all of a sudden something just doesn't go back into place. You can't get it, and you just want to take it and smash the living daylights out of it, or fix it with fire into a puddle. Well, we have a solution for that. I'll show you momentarily. My latest Rage Quit involves one of these things, the NERF Rotofury. I absolutely love this blaster. It is a blast. It is awesome. It's got a lot of kick to it. It also has internals from hell. Whoever Beelzebub is being employed by at Hasbro, and these people keep coming with these new gear train blasters, screw you, okay? Screw you. Only thing I know about frickin' steampunk is it has gears on it. That's as far as I know is the internal on this thing. I can't handle them. Just gears go this way, gears go that way. You got a box with springs and explodes, and it's going through one and twisting over the other, and pieces are going like this. Which is why when I finally managed to get my thing back together after the gearbox exploded in 2 hours worth of tinkering on the goddamn thing, I just had enough, and I started beating it up against my desk, and luckily I didn't hurt my desk because I absolutely love my workbench that my buddy Andy made for me. I could dance my fat ass on this thing with 4 clones, and I'm not going to hurt it. It's a tank. It's hurricane proof. It's me proof. Obviously, because I beat everything up against this thing, and I ended up taking a screwdriver and just ice picking the crap out of this thing because I was so pissed off, and I skipped and I hit my desk, and it flew me into a whole new fit of rage, and I ended up just anger issues. Extraordinarily anger issues. And after I had finally calmed down, I realized I hadn't really hurt my desk because I got a nice thick rubber mat on here because I'm not stupid. I don't want to gouge it or hurt it. I came back about 2 days later and figured I spent $35 on this goddamn blaster, and I got parts, pieces, and bits scattered and broken. There is no way in hell I can return this goddamn thing to the store I bought it, because every time I break one while doing a mod, if I can't figure out immediately what to do with it, I pack it up and I take it back. I keep the darts as the cost of my trouble because, well, let's face it, they're darts, and they're going to throw them away with the rest of the crap, so I'm keeping the darts. Screw you, Walmart, Kmart, Toys R Us, Amazon. I don't give. Screw you all. The darts are mine. I have to deal with the crappy broken blaster. I'm keeping the darts. And don't judge me, because I'm sure all you assholes do it, okay? It happens, okay? So, God. I decided that I was just going to see what I could do with it. So, with the latest craze being going on, and the fact that if you check out some of the other stuff, I've gotten really good at stuffing XBZ and XBZs in there, and I had one laying around, so I decided to make an XBZ Rotofury Tactical Edition because of the stock, which I'm actually going to take off from the Raider because it's kind of in the way. It's not a Raider. It's a Raider stock, a Rampage stock, but it has the, off an old Recon I had harvested for parts to fix for my buddy's kid because he jammed it up. So I used that on the end, but doesn't matter. Those things are all compatible as it is. Little flashlight. Find these at Walmart, by the way. I'm kind of hacked up right now, as you can see them, but they got this little ridge on top, and they got, it's perfect for fitting on pipe, and they're just disgustingly bright. It was like $3, and it's a quick little HVZ light. Not that I play HVZ, but I love them things. Those things are awesome. So, quickly going over the externals of what it is. It's a Rotofury, as you can see. Rotofury. Yeah, not much. I did cut rear loading holes in the back of the thing here, which may be a little hard to see. I'm not too sure. You can see me kind of get my finger to disappear into the blaster here. And a nice big bike pump on the end of the thing, which actually a bit of an inconvenient, because when I have it at full draw, I can't get the damn thing in frame. Being that I'm so freaking short as it is, I have a hard time reaching all the way out here. But I do like this bike pump I got on here. I can get it up to 70 PSI, and it's got like a really, okay. Putting it on an empty barrel. 1, 2, which one's empty? Yeah, I had it out for Thanksgiving and shooting my brother in his, my brother in the knees, and my sister's kids, my sister's boyfriend's kid. He was having a ball with it, so yeah, I pulled a griever. Anyways, I stuck a little end on it because I like my stuff to look slightly different than anybody else's. It's from an old Recon or old Raider or something like that. But quickly, just going over the aesthetics here. I try to keep my stuff as clean as possible. This time it didn't quite work out. Originally, I tried to use the pump that came with it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the power out of it I needed, because the stock pumps, even when they plug the OPV in it, it just not enough juice to get through the, excuse me, God, I apologize, to get through all the juice, all the hose that goes through in the blaster and up out the back of it. But I ended up having to attach a bike pump to it, because I said, screw this, at least if it's working, it's working. I wanted to try to keep the rotation mechanism active, but when I took the screwdriver through it, I hit the rotator mech on the inside and chipped away quite a very large piece. So that wasn't going to happen. So I couldn't keep the pump handle on and the rotator mechanism. And I tried to find a pump that would go from here and put a base in, and that wouldn't work either. So I just mounted the pump up on the front of the blaster, which I said, unfortunately, with this, it's almost too long for me to get a good pump. And then when I stick the stock back on, it is entirely too long for me to even reach the front of the damn thing. Even when I shorten the stock to its complete length, I can't reach. I love this thing, but it is just freaking huge. I mean, it is one of the largest blasters I've built. Probably goes about 3 to 4 feet, almost about 3 feet high at current standing, because I'm kind of short. Now, I did contact a friend of mine, and he sent me this. So this little bit is coming off and going on something else. I'll probably just keep it around for a while, and then I am putting this. And I think the guy that I saw did it was Mag 2112 or Mag 211-2. I'm not sure. So I'm not the originator of putting that on there. If you're watching this, or check out his channel, I'm giving the props to him because he's the first guy I saw. If he has props from somebody else's idea of doing that, that's his problem. He'll pay it forward on his own deal. So it has been CPVC. I just changed the barrel out. CPVC barrel, because I was going to use it for NIC battling, which slugs, Steffens. I haven't test shot it with anything other than those and my old slugs, because that's all I'm using for those. It's just crappy gray Frost King foam. I am, however, even with these short barrels, I am still getting 100 feet with this. And I am amazed, because I'm short. And that, distancing drops the further I go down. The further you go down, it cuts your distance off the back side on the average height of a person, where they judge all this stuff. Well, I'm still getting just on the other side of 100 feet before I get like a serious drop. So it's actually pretty practical. I really wish, if I ever do another one, which is highly unlikely, because I can't justify spending $35 on a blaster just to open it and hack it to bits. Especially with all the crap that's inside this thing. To build another one, to spend $10 in parts and various pieces and $15 on a pump and the hosing and everything else that goes with it. That's a lot of money to spend on something like that. Even with the P-tag and all the barrel equipment I have around here, to cut this and make an extraordinarily long turreted blaster out of it, even if it's possible to brace it through like that, which it may possibly be, I don't think there's other things I could do. I could scrap one of those cruddy dart blaster things, the Hyperfire I think they were called, and slap it on the front of a big blast tank. Or I could just throw a rock. Because it'll do the same exact thing with probably better accuracy. Not that you should throw rocks at people. You should throw maybe those little Nerf foam things if they make ones that look like rocks. But, well, why pack those? I mean, if you're going to throw something at all, throw one of those stupid bazooka bomb things that never work right because they just sit and pop and they go about 30 feet and they launch all the darts back at you. That's a completely different video. Maybe, probably not. So what we're going to do here quick is, because I get through this incoherent rambling, you're probably tired enough of hearing that, so we're going to pop the blaster open, and I'm going to show you what I did to the insides to make what I have now dubbed the Scrotofury, because it is hard as balls. So we'll get to that here in a moment. Alright, and welcome to the internal shots of the blaster I've made. So it is as of note that there is a lot of screws in this thing across it, and it does have, in typical Hasbro fashion, all of the screws tend to be different sizes. So I had gone ahead and taken it apart and made one of these things, which is just a quick shot of the blaster on a piece of paper, which is actually upside down. It's hard to see. But as you can see, I just kind of mapped the screws out on here so I can get them back in. I've actually had this thing for a little while now because I keep having to kind of tinker with it a little bit on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and split it, and hopefully I won't drop anything anywhere. Come on, open up. Thank you. Okay. Relatively simple. All I really did was to bridge the gap on the pump over here with the pump. If I can figure out where the button is on this thing. There we go. Pump was simply mounted by taking a bunch of PVC pieces and mechanically and gluing, because a friend of mine once said never trust an adhesive. But unfortunately I have to glue it fast to this because you can't really puncture the internals of this, and I'm not going to run the risk of even trying to do that. I simply just found some PVC, I believe it's a 1/2-inch PVC that fit, and used a piece of the old pump here as a coupler, or a match piece, and it just fits right with a slight amount of shell modification. Here it just fits right in. I just cut them to fit, and it's relatively secure. A little bit of wiggle, but nothing much. We move forward to the hosing. I just simply clamped it into the bike pump and then removed the little piece on the back because it wasn't fitting. I can still open and mess with it if I need to, but it's just screwed into here just via the twist knob, and it holds off pretty good. It does have a slight bleed to it, but that's perfectly fine because it's not detrimental, and it's so slow. It took most of the night to drain it down like 3 or 4 psi, so it might not even be in there. I'm just guessing it's the only place where it's not completely sealed. So now we go over to where I just put this through here, just run the hose up through here. I could have ran it down through all this mess. I decided not to, because I had to rip all these screw posts out. So it went in through the center, and we get onto the back of the turret. Now I can't take the turret out, which is unfortunate because I'd like to show you a little bit better what I did here. But as you can see, I just kept the rotator mechanism in half and kept the chuck that went around it. I needed the way to be able to keep it, and I realized since I hadn't broke this in its entirety, I simply marked everything up, with some black marker, and you may still be able to see some of the little hash marks on here, so I had centers marked. And then simply took 2 screws from either side, and I'll move my light around. Actually, I got a better idea. Use that fancy little light that I bought from Walmart here. I took 2 screws and jammed them through either side. You can see the black marks as to where they're supposed to be here. And there's a corresponding one on the other side, and then just use the housing screws to hold it back into place. So the entire thing works on the slip gear that was there, and there go all the little parts that sit around on top of it, including my barrel extension to my barrel. Falls right off. So we get around up here to the expanded tank, and if anybody watches any of my stuff before or things, I like to draw things on things and then coat them over. So I dubbed it originally Project Phoenix because I had beat this thing down to the ashes. So I made a neat little Phoenix for my expanded pump, my expanded XBZ tank, which is exceedingly simple to use, and I'm working on a tutorial on how to do that. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it because it is extremely image heavy and boring to make. So hose is held down with a small screw and a washer and an existing screw port, and I'm actually very proud of the trigger mechanism. When you open up the Rotofury, there's 2 catches. There's, excuse me, once again I apologize, there's a little catch that's here that has a circle and it goes like this, and they're sitting right about in this area here. And then there's the other one that sits on top that has this little post on it, and that's part of your ratchet system for your slam fire mod. I found if I needed a way to be able to reach the blast button on this thing from the trigger because I couldn't get it low enough with the rotator mechanism in the way. So all I really did was take one piece to another and put some screws through it. Now I could have glued it, but like I said before, you never trust a yes, Captain Caveman, that is my phone. I love that sound, but it gets so annoying, especially when I forget to turn down the volume, which I seem to have done this time. So I needed a way to be able to reach the trigger mech on the blast button here, and it just happens to be the perfect size and shape when you put them together backwards and Dremel the one flat. Now, I did put a small screw in the base of the little post here, and it is so I got a little extra reach, but it's screwed out a little further. I can actually adjust the trigger sensitivity on this. Right now I got it about where I want it, but I can actually set the thing up for like a hair trigger, and it just pops really quick. It's kind of a cool little feature. I didn't really intend to do that, but it worked out really good. So the hosing, as you can see, just wraps up and around, and I can't really get this off too well because this piece of metal holding this down is through a ton of putty, just making a putty casing, and there's some even underneath it. As you can see down there, there's a little putty under the blaster. It'll lift it up so it gets I did not putty the other side of this thing yet, although you can see there is a substantial, and it matches on the opposite side of the blaster, a substantial amount of bracings and things that need to be removed, as well as on this here. It's just a ton of stuff that has to come out. You just got to grind and grind and grind away. Now, what I'm particularly fond of, other than the trigger here, was my actual catch assembly. I mean, my mating of this to the blaster. I couldn't figure out, that's my light swinging around here, banging into my jury rig PVC mechanism. I simply took different lengths of pipe and attached them to the lowest point on the coupler I possibly could. It's one piece of, I think, CPVC half-inch thin wall, PVC half-inch thin wall over a coupler, over a piece of half-inch PVC jammed into that. And then on the inside of that is a piece of half-inch CPVC. So you have the CPVC all the way down against the edge of the blaster back wall and sealed in there inside of a piece of half-inch PVC over the edge of that, which fits on cleanly. And then I can't remember what I nested over that, and I just pounded it flat and used 3 layers of craft foam to make the seal. It's actually got a really good seal, and to improve it, I used a trick that the Canadian Nerfer Make It Go, or MIG, used, or I remember what his name is on Facebook. That's guess it's not too important, but all props to him for giving me this idea, because I used it on his mod he did to make the Octashot, which Make It Go, if you watch and see this, thank you very much. I've got my Octashot made, and I made it on the first try, and I had it working perfectly, and I put some hot glue where it wasn't supposed to. I went back and expanded my spring out because I left my hot glue sit there. But I used your mod entirely to make the thing, and I absolutely love it. It is a flawless workhorse of a blaster, and I am proud to say I have one. Thank you very much for that. But I stole your idea, and I used a piece of that plastic to make a new ring around this, because I wanted to make sure it was nice and flat and raised. And when you cut through these little PVC barrel spacers in here, you wind up with holes in between the spacing of where these things are. So I needed a way to be able to round them out. So after I had it all glued down, I went back through and re-drilled all of the holes out, so I don't have the space between the original piece here and that. Like, it looks up here like this, you can see, or maybe you can't, you can see there's just a little bit of space situated down in between these. You can see it from here, and that's what's missing on this side, because that plastic allowed me to go cover the distance and the gap, and pieces are just falling off on this thing left and right on the inside. They're not quite just not pieces I need, they're just things that are loose and falling around, like my triggers and all the little white pieces of garbage and things like that Nerf sticks on their exteriors like that, because I guess they deem them necessary for some odd reason. Your sling attachment points, although I don't know anybody that really slings this stuff, because like I said, it's NIC and you're pretty much running around with one primary. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my rambling and then close it up and give my final thought on my own work. So we're back, and I'll give you the final thoughts on my own creation here. If you plan on doing this mod, I don't think it's a bad idea. I am getting a lot of power out of it. You do get 10 shots of awesome power, and especially with that new barreling system they came out with, that you just kind of snap them in from worker and scale it down. You can get all kinds of kick out of that. Now, it's probably going to make them spall badly because it's XBZ tank, you know, there, but it's not, I don't know, I don't think it's a practical mod to do unless you've completely foobarred the living Christ out of your Rotofury like I did. Other than that, the thing is pretty much just ready to go, stock. I mean, a quick quote-unquote spring replacement, if you can manage to get the thing back together, and those little worker barrel things, or just CPVC glue and tape like not CPVC glue, CPVC barrels, E-tape, and epoxy like I did, and just jam it in there, you can have something that's actually not a bad NIC primary, but I honestly think there's other ways to go about it that are so much easier to how often have to have a primary. You can just use a regular XPZ with a breech, or a speed loader, or a rampage, or anything that just doesn't give you such a headache to go ahead and build. But it was fun to make. It just didn't get a chance to use it yet. I mean, winter's upon us now, but I was going to change that, but the indoor world, but it got canceled. It was fun to make after I finally got it back together, though. So, that's my thoughts on my own creation. Once again, like I said before in the videos, all previous, I appreciate all of my viewers, every one of you. Thank you so much for sustaining and watching on my channel. I appreciate all of the comments, and I'll read and respond to everything as much as I possibly can. My phone doesn't, I can receive emails and stuff on my phone, but for some reason I cannot respond to stuff on my phone. I have to get home to use my laptop, and I typically do that every couple of days just to maintain my stuff, because you know, you got to keep up on these things. So like, subscribe, hate mail, I don't care, I'll read it. It's egotistical. Subscribe, please. Give you, like I said before, give your dog an email. Give your cat an email. I don't care. This has been Clownie, signing off. Remember, peace. Clownie's watching.